Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny has released, and I don't see this movie doing well. I'm not an Indiana Jones fan, and politics or modern trends would not have made me more or less interested in this movie. But good lord. What the hell is people's problem with Phoebe Waller-Bridge? What is it about this woman that drives so many fans insane? For some inexplicable reason, they just want her head on a platter. Wanted, dead or alive. Armed and dangerous. Cash reward $1 billion. So because she's been a part of Solo, a Star Wars story, James Bond, No Time to Die, and Indiana Jones, all movies that may or may have not had political influence in them? By default, she killed all those franchises? Don't be ridiculous. She is not an executive. She does not make the major decisions that go on in these shows and movies. She is simply hired to do a job. Okay, actors say stupid things. Writers say stupid things. I have no doubt she has said something stupid at least once. But so far, I have not seen anything in her work that makes her so politically maligned, or deranged, or woke, or any of that. Fleabag was a self-insert. So what? So was Seinfeld. George Lopez, Fresh Prince. When did it suddenly become wrong to produce and star in your own sitcom? Then she wrote and produced Killing Eve, a crime thriller about two women in a relationship with one another. Again, I don't see anything harmful about it. And I'm pretty sure if there was, activists wouldn't take so much time to find something damning about the show to shove it in people's faces. So with the success of these two shows, she starts to get attention from Hollywood. So she's cast as a feminist robot in Solo, a Star Wars story. Okay, and? So she's given a job and follows a script. Is it suddenly bad to have a feminist character? Lisa Simpson is a feminist character? I don't think of her in a different way because of today's political landscape. Classic Simpsons will always be classic Simpsons. So after Solo, she wrote for the latest James Bond movie. And honestly, the only thing that critics can point out what is so bad about this movie is that Bond is not a lady killer. Of course he's not. He's supposed to be old. He's supposed to be at the end of his run, and he will get replaced by a newer, younger Bond. Daniel Craig was actually the one that wanted to hire Bridge for the movie. He called her, quote, one of the world's best actors. Unless it can be proven that that was not the case, she was hired because Craig and possibly other people on the project admired her work. So now she's the supporting actress in Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and already, she is being lambasted as the one that ruins the movie. And again, she did not direct the movie, she was simply given a script and followed it. She did not order anyone around, she did not shake up the story to give her character the best outcome. If there is anyone to blame about the direction of the movie, it's the one that actually makes those creative decisions, in this instance, the executive producer Kathleen Kennedy or George Lucas or Steven Spielberg. I am not denying that political influence, aka the message, has affected many different shows and movies across Hollywood. What I don't find reasonable is to blame her for it, any of it, as a matter of fact. What can this lone individual possibly influence that hasn't already been influenced? Phoebe Waller-Bridge does not call any shots. When she acts, she follows a script. When she writes the script, but that doesn't mean she can write whatever she wants. She has a filter. Higher-ups ultimately have a say in what gets approved and what gets cut. If you were hired to write a Batman movie, and you wanted to tell the story that you wanted to tell all this time and do the source material right and try to make it the best script possible, odds are, you'll still have changes made to it. I am not saying she is not immune to criticism. I am not saying she's a good actress or good writer. But I have not seen anything from her writing that's controversial. If somebody passes along a clip or interview to me, I would not be shy to read it and make a conclusion. With all the fans online that are riled up, you would have to assume that she was responsible for race swapping, casting non-binaries, writing anti-Trump or conservative messaging, or condemned Trump voters, or whatever other outrageous shit. But no, I have not found any of the sort. So if you believe that Trump never did anything wrong as president, then it only makes sense to believe that Waller-Bridge never did anything wrong as a writer or actress. Because that's exactly what this reminds me of. How many fucking hoaxes did the media play, or how many times did they take a Trump quote out of context and turn it into a witch hunt? She's Trump, but for the right-wing activist camp. Already, she is being accused of things that she has never said. We have folks that act as journalists, want her so bad to fail, but since there's nothing remotely outrageous, they have to make the story up. This was never said by Phoebe anywhere that her upcoming Tomb Raider TV show was going to have feminist messaging or be for modern audiences. I have looked everywhere around the internet and did not find the sort. The lady made that up. Because it's not about reporting truth, it's about hurting someone's reputation. So she and others just pretend as if it's true. Let's call this for what it is, it's activism. This is what the mainstream media does. Why have we decided to stoop to their low level? You can easily see the contempt on display, despite actually having no idea what they're spiteful and toxic about. People are already under the assumption that Lara Croft is going to be played by a dragster man. I just find that too outrageous to believe, considering that Bridge has never wrote anything like that in the past. That isn't to say that Bridge might not ever adopt the message and use it to influence something she works on. Anything can happen, of course. But it's not fair to criticize somebody for something they have never said or did. People thought that the next Superman would star people who weren't white. And shocker, Superman and Lois will be white. And I wonder if these people are secretly disappointed about that. How it won't be easy for them to criticize this movie leading up to its release. So I am going to read some excerpts from her recent interview with Vanity Fair. I am going to critique her fairly. She had an attitude. She was very deliberate in what she wanted to do. She remembers Croft's balletic movements through Tombs and the game's moody serenity. That all changed when they realized that they could market her to be a sex symbol, she says with a twitch of annoyance. It is safe to say that Waller-Bridge Lara will not be a horny woman. But she is wrong, Lara was always a kind of sex symbol, because core design relied on her appearance to sell their game. During the pandemic, Waller-Bridge comforted herself by plunging back into the game, so it seemed like kismet when Amazon asked her if she'd be interested in developing a series. God, it literally felt like that teenager in me saying, do right by her, do right by Lara, she says. The opportunity to have, as we were talking earlier, a female action character. Having worked on Bond and having worked as an actor on Indy, I feel like I've been building up to this. What if I could take the reins on an action franchise, with everything I've learned, with a character I adore, and also just bring back some of that 90s vibe? The project aroused big roaring instincts in her. And it's such a wonderful feeling to think you know what to do. I mean, having a woman that has written comedy and spy thrillers before should almost guarantee that the producers want a Tomb Raider with a 90s vibe, or in other words, a classic vibe. So Melanie Mack can exhale, or will she? And critical drinker. He is probably going to act like he never wanted a classic Lara now. But having her mention how she wants to do right by Lara is rather an indifferent statement. I can't say she intends to write the perfect Tomb Raider story, but I also can't say she intends to write a politicized dumpster fire. I can definitely see some activists try to take this out of context. I ask if she hesitates to participate in our endlessly recycling culture of reboots and remakes. I feel like when you're working in the industry, you've got to ride the waves and lean in, she tells me. There's room to do something really quite dangerous. And if I can do something dangerous and exciting with Tomb Raider, I already have an audience of people who love Lara and hopefully will continue to. And that is a very unusual position to be in. It's the old Trojan horse. I can see influencers smear her over this line, do something dangerous, and try to spin it as a way to politicize the project. All this tells me, though, is that she has ideas for the show and she must think they're so great. But it only remains to be seen. Here's an interesting one. Breast references pop up in a lot of her writing, and Waller-Bridge says it became a heated topic in the Tomb Raider writers' room. Should Lara Croft have an athletic build or the canonically busty figure? She's a Tomb Raider, so she's incredibly fit, she says. She has to squeeze through tiny rock crevices all the time. It is a different experience squeezing through a small rock crevice when you have larger boobs than if you have smaller boobs. Okay. This part is good. It makes sense. It seems like she wants a Lara Croft with an athletic body, rather than give her a bulky, man-like body that these activists keep saying she will have. Besides having smaller boobies, this should be a promising sign. That, and it's safe to say she will not cast herself as Lara. So somebody, please try to spin this as horribly as possible. I wonder if this part will even catch the eye of these people. I won't hold my breath. And that's pretty much it as far as Tomb Raider. But yeah. Until somebody can actually provide proof that she single-handedly influences politics in the projects she works on, I can't just pretend like she does. That would be like saying Henry Cavill ruined Star Wars and The Witcher. The hypocrisy makes my community look bad, and these influencers are no better than the Keith Olbermanns or the Rachel Maddows or the Froskurins that simply just look for something to be outraged over rather than look for answers. Indiana Jones is very likely to flop, but it's not going to be her fault. James Bond No Time to Die was the least successful film in the Craig series, and that also was not her fault. So where do people get all this from that she's one of the most influential and most political figures in Hollywood?